Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
104.7 The Cave, Mike the intern, Ned Reynolds once again in a virtual studio together this morning. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about. So first on the agenda, I got news that I believe Fenton practiced yesterday, which is a good thing. But Tyran's still in protocol, even though Coach Andy Reid thinks if he checks all the boxes, he should be ready to play as well on Sunday.
The expectations are that both of them should be able to play. And yeah, that's good that Fenton was in there. He's had these recurring back spasms. Of course, you never know when they're going to hit you. But for the while anyway, he seems to be healed. And you're right about Tyrann Mathieu Honeybadger. And he's an individual the Chiefs really do need to have in there as well. He is under concussion protocol, got kicked in the head by one of his own teammates, and that was in last Sunday's game. But he appears to be all right now. Everything is checking out, so the expectations are that both will be in there, and I really will continue with my prediction that the Chiefs will win.
We absolutely need Fenton in there and Tyrann too, after what the Bengals were able to do to us last time with Chase getting 1,000,000 yards and 15 touchdowns against us because they were just bombing it down the field, and we're going to need them. We're going to need all the help we can get to stop that duo for sure, because that is a dangerous thing. But then, no Chase. They've got Higgins. They've got a lot of places that Joe Burrow can go to. So our D-backs are going to have to be playing lights out, and so is that front five, in my opinion.
Bottom line is this, Mike. This team, Cincinnati, is not as good as the Chiefs. Even though they won 34-31 a couple of weeks ago, they're still not as good personnel-wise. But they aren't bad. They're very dangerous. They have a lot of quickness, a lot of speed. Joe Burrow is getting a whole lot better as QB. I don't think this team's as good as Buffalo either, but having said all that, anything can happen, so you don't want to take any chances.
I'll tell you this right now. I'm glad we're playing Cincinnati instead of Buffalo again. I don't think my mental stability could go through another game like that for at least another 4 to 6 months. And I got to recuperate. I still need some time to get over that stuff. My heart doctor said it's not good to go through that more than once a week. So hopefully I don't have to on Sunday afternoon. So there's been kind of some rumblings. Is there going to be any additions in the Mo Valley this year?
There's been one lost and one gained, so it's been an even trade so far. There are rumors that other teams may be joining, but nothing has happened to my knowledge yet. The one team that's lost is Loyola, and they'll cease their relationship in the Missouri Valley on July the 1st. The team that is added is Murray State from Murray, Kentucky. They will be part of Valley basketball next year and part of Valley football in 2 years. Keep in mind now, Missouri Valley Football Conference is different and governed differently than the basketball league is, but Murray State will join in both. They won't be in the same year, however. So Loyola is gone. Murray State will be there. Yes, there are rumors, but to my knowledge, nothing has happened yet. The one that appears to be key is Illinois Chicago, and they were in the Bears Conference way back in the 1980s and the very early 90s when the Bears were members of the AMQ. Illinois Chicago, UIC, was in that competition. Haven't been for quite a while, but hey, we'll see what happens. There's a long way to go yet.
Definitely a long way to go, but always good competition is good competition. So the more the merrier, in my opinion. Last but not least, it's unbelievable, but we are getting closer and closer to the Olympics being held in Beijing. Is Team USA starting to trickle into the country?
They are piecemeal. They didn't go over all at one time. They can't really, because many of the events are different and because we are going through the pandemic. So many are there. Many are already in China, and they're getting ready, doing their training. And some have not, because they've opted out because of the COVID circumstances. That doesn't mean they aren't going, but it does mean they'll be a little bit later on. Eventually, everybody will be there, the big parades and the opening ceremony set for February 3rd. A lot of this is going to be done virtually as far as audiences are concerned, because China is limiting the number of fans who can go to any of the competitions. But over and above all that, the athletes are there and should be getting underway in the latter part of next week.
Looking forward to it. Looking forward to being back in the studio with you and actually talking face to face so we can discuss it. I'm glad it didn't happen next week. Before we go, what's your favorite Winter Olympic event?
I have to admit I'm more of a traditionalist than anything else, so I do like the Olympic hockey. This year it's a little bit compromised in a way because the NHL players, and that's from all countries, the NHL is pretty much universal, they won't be playing. The National Hockey League has said, we don't want to, and the players are the ones who voted, not all of them, who voted not to play because of COVID. Otherwise, the hockey should be very good, although the European teams are a whole lot more organized than our minor leagues here and our college teams. So that's where our team will come from. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
So Bears had a tough loss against a team they really should have had no problem beating earlier this week. But it's over and done, and that's just the way it goes. Where do they stand in the Mo Valley standings right now?
Well, that little loss to Indiana State dropped the Bears out of second place, just like a snap of the fingers. So the Bears are in third, and their team's nipping at their heels for that position. That was a very painful situation for Missouri State because this is a good team. But when you live and base your attack on long-distance shooting and it doesn't work, and then suddenly the other team is shooting well, then you're in for problems in River City. And that's exactly what happened with the Bears on Tuesday night over at Terre Haute, Indiana. I do think things are going to change. The Bears do play Evansville coming up on Saturday night at JQH Arena. Evansville is dead last in the Missouri Valley Conference, and they really are not very good. Of course, you never take anything for granted, but the Bears should be able to bounce back on Saturday night, 7 o'clock game. Again, we'll toss it up and see what happens.
Well, hopefully they can get a dub and correct the ship. There's still plenty of time to make it, but they definitely don't have that many opportunities to screw up between now and the end of the season. That's for sure. So yesterday, the big news was Big Papi is getting into the Hall of Fame. We all could definitely see that coming, but the other news was that a couple of guys got passed up. Is this it for them? Is there still a chance for them to get into the Hall of Fame?
The answer is yes. There is still a chance. No, it won't happen under this current circumstances because these players, and you're talking about Barry Bonds and Curt Schilling and Roger Clemens and Sammy Sosa, people of this caliber, yes, they should be in the Hall of Fame, but it's not going to be because the baseball writers voted them in. That's a 10-year period to start things out. And the writers, while they gave Bonds and Clemens and Schilling to some extent more votes than they had in the past, they still didn't come to the 75% that they needed. So those guys will not get in under this circumstance. However, there are two other committees that meet, the Today's Game Committee and the Modern Baseball Committee, and they meet twice every 5 years. Doesn't happen every year. It's twice every 5 years. This is a combination of the old Veterans Committee that they used to have. There's also a third one, the Golden Days Committee. But Bonds and Schilling and Clemens and Sammy Sosa don't fall into that category yet, and hopefully they won't. These other two committees will have a chance to vote probably in a couple of years, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see some of these guys get in there. They should be. Barry Bonds is the all-time home run champion. Roger Clemens, 7 Cy Young Awards, a guy who had well over 3,000 strikeouts, 4,000 as a matter of fact. Really good pitchers, good players, and they should be in the Hall of Fame. Hopefully they will somewhere along the line.
Hopefully the writers that'll be doing the voting share your mindset.
No, it's a committee this time, and the writers are not included. They've had their shot 10 years, and they didn't vote them in.
Now the committee gets a chance to, and hopefully they're of the same mindset you are. And speaking of committees and talks and all that stuff, how's the contract talks going so far?
Well, there weren't any yesterday, to my knowledge. I have to think, Mike, I just have to think with the importance of coming up with a new contract and the fact that baseball really cannot afford any kind of stoppage. I have to think there may be telephone calls here and there and, hey, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that, and so forth and so on. In terms of publicized meetings, no, there were none yesterday. I don't know when the next ones scheduled are, but I do wish it would hurry up because these guys don't have a whole lot of time to waste, and, hey, time is growing short.
You're absolutely right with that, and hopefully they can get it together before spring training's supposed to start here in a couple weeks. And that's something else that's blowing my mind is I felt like we just got done with the series, and now we're looking at spring training starting next month. But you know what? That's baseball. They play pretty much all year long, like us talking sports. Ned, you have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.